Hi, I'm Tim Armstrong. I'm Head of Special Educational Needs at Sheffield Council. I'm going to show you today how to use our Send Additional Support resource calculator. The purpose of this is to enable you as a school to identify the specific costs for an individual child. You should always be working against a child's My Plan or EHC plan to map the provision in place, and it's worth involving services to do so. So in order to show you through how it works, I'm going to talk you through the different parts of the calculator. What you'll get at the end is an amount of funding that relates to a particular provision map for a young person. And that will be helpful in identifying where additional resource might be required. So this is the calculator. You've got a number of tabs on the bottom. You'll see here. And what they do is they've all got different examples and information for you, and they'll all work together to give you the information you need. So you've got an information tab. Please have a read of it. It'll talk you through how it works and the important information in terms of putting information in. What you've then got is you've got a number of different options to record a provision timetable. So I've given you a worked example, which is this tab here. And then if you are primary, there's a template for primary, or secondary, there's a template for secondary. So I'm going to show you how to work it. So here's our primary template. You'll see in these boxes here, morning lessons, the sort of things that we might include. So for example, we might include a small group intervention. And you might identify that that's delivered by an HLTA. So you use the drop down arrows to click on HLTA. And you might identify that there are 4 children in that group, and it might take place for a total of 120 minutes. What that will tell you is that you need to cost up 30 minutes of HLTA time for that child. In the morning, the rest of the morning lesson, you might identify that there's specific one-to-one support in class. So in-class support, and you might identify that that's delivered by a level 2 teaching assistant. So again, click on the down arrows, teaching assistant level 2, total students, well, it's 1-to-1, and that might be for a total of 80 minutes. And that would identify that you have 80 minutes of teaching assistant level 2. What you would then go and do once you've filled in the entire timetable is at the bottom, you would see this box here, and you would say, here's our staff role. So we've identified an HLTA and our total minutes in the week. So for example, with that one at the moment, we're only saying 30 minutes, so that's fine. So we'll just put 30 minutes in there. And what it will automatically do is it'll create the hours as a decimal that you need to include. Our level 2 teaching assistant, you click on our down arrows. At the moment, it's 80 minutes, and that would identify it's 1.3 hours time. So if I look at the worked provision, what you've got here is a whole week of all sorts of different things that we've put in. We've included the fact that this child's accessing alternative provision for a day, but lots of different types of intervention that this child's getting in different ways. And what I've done to make my life easier in adding it up is that I have color-coded each of the different staffing that we've got in place. And you'll see as I scroll down to the bottom, all those different staff and all the different things that we put in place there. So what you would then do is you'd have to take that information that you've added up and we'd have to include it into our 2020 to 2021 academic year. Obviously, we'll update this every year in terms of costs. So within that, we're going to identify that we've got 0.8 hours of a level 1 learning mentor. So you click on it and you'll see level 1 learning mentor. You'll scroll across and it's 0.8 hours. And what we're going to say is that this intervention was only for 12 weeks. Okay, then we go back and we'd identify that 1.2 hours of an HLTA. So we would put into our HLTA 1.2 hours, and that might take a total of the full year. Likewise, we might identify that we've got 5.4 hours of our level 2 teaching assistant. So we are level 2 teaching assistant, 5.4 hours. And again, that's for the full year. And so what you'll see within this is that we've included an annual cost for that role, and that cost is based on term time costs where it's appropriate. So that includes your on costs and your annual leave. What that would be as a full week, what that would be as an hourly rate, and that will give us our hours per week costs. So 5.4 hours of teaching assistant is £81.70 a week, and then we've added in our weeks for the year, and it will give us that cost. So you'll see that at the bottom, it identifies a total cost here, and obviously you'd fill in the whole thing, of £4,419. You'll then be able to click on the funding calculator, and it will take information through. So in this case, what you'll see is that we've pulled across £4,419 in terms of total cost, and the notional SEN funding that the school already has. So I'm just going to add in a couple of other quick things into our costs just to make life a little bit more interesting. So we're going to say that in this case, we're going to give, just to make life easy, 12 hours a week of TA level 1 time. Obviously nothing to do with my worked example, but it gives us a bigger number at the bottom just for use here. So we've now got our total support costs coming up here. So in this box, you would put in the learner's name. So we'll talk Jimmy, and you put your school in and your locality. So this is locality A. And then what we'd notice is that our total support costs here, this box, is what's pulled from the previous tab. But also we've identified that this child had AP for 1 day a week. So if we say that AP was £125 a week, you would just put in the details box AP at per day. Times that by 39 weeks, because I forgot to times that by 39 weeks, which is always useful to do, which works out at £4,875. So you'd actually put 4,875 in there. So you'll see that we've then got a total cost for this child, for Jimmy, is £16,000. So as I said, you've already got your notional SEN funding in there that all schools should be providing the first £6,000, and in locality A, they've given you £2,500 for him. So that would tell you that you've got a shortfall of information of about £7,587 for the information we've put in. And that's how you use it. You'll then be able to share with locality how you've costed up your provision for each individual child that you're needing to look at, and for you as a school to be able to identify the average costs. Now, we have put midpoint in terms of cost ranges because we think that it's a sensible approach to take, to say here's a midpoint so that we know that there can be fairness across the city, but we also identify that different schools will have staff on different scales, and that's okay. But for any requests of funding for the school, we would be expecting you to look at the staffing on a midpoint, and we would be expecting you to have worked with that provision map to ensure that it reflects the need in the plan. Okay, I hope that helps.